On this episode, we are singing the songs of suburbia with sound salvation and a static worldview, and other words that start with S. Time to head to the Moon Ska label to discuss the pride of Connecticut, Spring Heel Jack USA, on Checkered Past, the Ska'd cast.
Oh, hey, oh, what the fuck you doing with your life these days? Oh, hey, oh, what the fuck you doing with yourself? Oh, hey, oh, what the fuck you doing with your life these days? Oh, hey, oh, what the fuck you doing with yourself?
What up, Checkerheads? Welcome to Checkered Past, the Ska'd cast with Celine and Rob, the show where Jack the Hepper and Swinging Todd the Demon Skanker of Orange Street explore the history and impact of a different band each episode and hope to bring in new fans along the way. I'm Rob, and this is my sister and co-host, Celine.
Okay, one more uno mas for your joke.
Jack the Hepper.
Okay, so like Jack the Ripper.
Yeah, and Swinging Todd, the Demon Skanker.
Sweeney Todd, the demon
Skanker
barber
of Orange Street. Fleet Street is the original.
Okay,
that's
fun.
Orange
So
Street,
just like British
Jamaica.
things, because it's spring.
Yeah, like
British, like a Victorian British things.
That's right, like Victorian, like
spooky,
villains,
spooky.
Victorian villains.
Okay,
yeah.
Sounding like a real.
I was
fop
real
to
proud of
me.
it, so I'm happy.
Yeah, that actually was probably one of your better ones.
I feel like it's no better than what was the one that I was told was too much. I can't remember.
By a comedian.
By a
Jordan
comedian.
Morris.
By Jordan
Yeah.
Morris said that I should pay him his day rate so he can punch it up.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Easter.
Oh yeah.
Jesus
is this the
lives.
Celine?
This is the Celine.
You're Celine it?
This is my new Celine song I'm doing off the cuff.
Okay.
It's Celine. Celine. We got a minute. It's Celine.
That's about as long as your Celine it's gonna be. So Easter.
Jesus died and is back now.
Yeah, he's back tomorrow.
Tomorrow?
Yeah.
I thought it was today. Well,
No,
then
he
what the
died on
fuck
Friday.
is Easter Sunday? Good
Nothing,
Friday.
really, because it's 3 days.
What? Why?
Saturday, Sunday,
So
Monday.
okay. Well, what happens? Why is it Easter Sunday? I feel like that's a.
I
Now
don't
I'm mad. Palm Sunday. That's a thing. There's palms involved.
That's different.
No, it's
It-
got to be the same thing.
The Easter Sunday?
I don't know. When did the bunny get involved? Is that pagan? That's got to be pagan. Yeah, like fertility, spring fertility,
Mhm.
witchcraft.
Witchcraft.
Yeah. Fuck you, Jesus. Witch's rain. That's my
Dang.
Celine.
This is like an episode after Reese Roper of
Yeah.
Five Iron Frenzy was on the podcast.
I told him. I told him. He knows.
You should have been the Easter guest, right? Wouldn't that make more
The
sense?
Easter guest.
Yeah. Speaking
He's
of,
not Jesus.
we have some. I
He
think we have.
just loves him.
I think we have some people. He's not Jesus.
It's just a mutual love
been
between the
confirmed.
two of them.
Some UFOs.
Apparently, he loves me too. So they keep saying.
The original mutual follower.
Jesus has followed you back.
Jesus followed you back.
Jesus follows you. You're like, I'm not going to follow that back.
Yeah,
I'm not pressing
no.
the follow. God, Jesus, get so obsessed with me all the time.
Doesn't do his own tweets, just retweets.
He's such a pick me boy. I love you. I love you. Fuck you, Jesus.
We're so thrilled to introduce our guests. Multi-instrumentalist, vocalist, songwriters for Skacore band Hans Gruber and the Diehards. Chris, Kurt, and Rosie are here. Hi.
Hi.
Hola.
First question, as always, what is your ska origin story, your checkered past, if you will? I'm going to go my left to right. Kurt?
Oh shit! So this is gonna transition really well. So grew up very evangelical. I first learned about ska because of Five Iron Frenzy. I grew up in Colorado, so I would have saw
Whoa.
them very frequently whenever they played around I could make it to. And I would say after that, I began to learn about the world of ska. So I went to high school, learned about Real Big Fish, Mighty Mighty Boss Tones, and all that stuff. And I wouldn't say until college I really dove into the whole genre deeply, and I fell in love.
So mine is similar, I guess, with the origin. Because I was like even worse evangelical.
Even worse.
I was
Okay.
evangelical light.
Yeah,
compared
and
to
I
her.
was like fundamentalist evangelical, like trauma. But anyway, but some of the parts were like I was only allowed to listen to Christian music when I was little, which is a whole thing. It's very funny. My brain doesn't know references well.
PW, praise and worship. You love the PW songs, praise and worship
Dude,
songs.
I was like before that. It was like the weird times. There's some interesting stuff in the. But anyway, Five Iron was the first ska band I knew. My brother loved them, and he would like. I would be like the weird like 9-year-old sister like with really long hair, just like pitting with like all these high schoolers, and they'd be like, "Your sister's cool,"
and they were right.
Yeah, and always thought Leonore was like so cool, you know, because she played the sax, and then here I end up playing the tenor sax, which is kind of funny. But that was kind of like my first introduction, and I know like more obscure Christian ska bands, like Ska Craze. It's bad, it's all bad. But anyway,
no, but Rob knows some ska.
I know, I got some deep cuts.
Yeah, what
Ska Craze comp?
Oh, yeah. Ska Craze.
I have not, though.
It's
That's
bad.
interesting.
Different day. Anyway, so that's kind of how I started, and then like I got more into like I guess punk, but again it was like through MXPX, so kind of that same Christian genre, and then like heavier stuff, which again the Christian world did a lot of like metal and stuff like that when I was like in high school. But then in college, when I met Kurt, it was like, wait, what? There's what? So like I joke that like my musical brain is like only like CCM and then ska. Like there's nothing else in it. Like I don't know much else. It's very sad. So,
no, there's good music in there. All I know is Jesus is a friend of mine as the original.
Technically, that's Catholic. That is not evangelical. That is Catholic ska.
Oh,
Catholic ska.
That fucking rocks, though. That's like damn good song.
Seed.
It's a good song.
It's good. It's very square, but it's good.
It's good though. No, you know what's so funny about
it's hip
that?
to be square. It's hip to be square.
This is not Huey Lewis in the News.
I love their horn lines are so good.
They're really good. No. I said this is not Huey Lewis in the News. Sunseed is not objectively.
But Sunseed, okay, this is funny. Like,
let's hear it.
What you get?
My other band, our other band was playing a show in Houston, and there was this DJ that's like super ska DJ, really legit, like I think Mexican for sure, Latin American of some sort. And they literally, I started chatting him up, and they have the vinyl. Like there was a vinyl, and it has like Jesus. Like a Jesus with like chanclas, like skanking, like the skanking. It's so funny. That's
incredible.
Stuff to uncover.
I love Jesus iconography and imagery. Like put Jesus on anything, and I'm in.
Yeah.
I make fun of him, but he's my bro.
Make fun of him, but he's a bro.
I actually like really respect him.
All right, Chris, you're up next. Tell me about your relationship with Five Iron Frenzy.
So none. I don't even know. I think I'd seen them live once and turned my back. I don't think I ever listened to them until 2000 and when did we start this band?
He got subjected.
Yeah, I don't. I never did God Ska. Wasn't my thing. OC Supertones.
That's solid.
The first time that's what I call it. Yeah, the first time I ever saw God Ska physically was OC Supertones at Half Price Books in Texas, and I bought it because it was $1, and I said, "This can't be that bad for $1," and it was. It's so bad.
OC Supertones, let's not rock.
Fire's a lot better.
I'm the old man Thompson of the group. I'm a little bit older than the rest of these guys. I grew up in Connecticut. The first ska band I was ever in, I think, was 1994 or 5.
Wow.
So I don't even remember how it happened. I was trying to talk about this with Kurt earlier. I know the first show I ever went to was a local show at a teen center with my brother, and he was very mad because he's older that I was allowed to go because my parents had no control on me. So when my brother was like, "I'm going to go to my first show," I was like, "Yeah, I'm coming too." And he's like, "That's not fair." And my parents were like, "Well, what are we going to do? We're not going to stop him." And so they let me go. And it wasn't a ska show. It was probably like all rock and hardcore. Hatebreed of all things, probably.
Hatebreed.
Hatebreed's from
they're from the town over from me. I used to know like some of their earlier members. We used to like literally go to school together because I went to a magnet school. But within the first few shows I went to, ska became a thing. I remember getting one of the earlier Boston cassette tapes from my brother. And then I think in the first 5 shows I ever went to was probably Sergeant Skagnetti, Spring Hill Jack, Jiker, JC Super Ska, and a few other things. Like,
Sounds like Jesus Christ, Super Ska to me.
well,
Sorry.
That's literally their name. Is JC Super
it's
Ska.
a joke.
Yeah.
It's two members from Spring Hill Jack. We're going to talk about that.
Okay.
But,
Oh, that's
Right. Jesus Christ Ska is different than
I'm
Christ.
actually obsessed with Jesus Christ Superstar as a soundtrack, so I don't
You should
don't
listen
know
to
that this
JC
exists.
Superstar.
Yeah, I'm actually like, what?
Two of the
I don't know
members
what
from
this
Spring Hill
is.
Jack are the horn section for JC Super Ska.
So whatever, we'll get into that. But this is all like Spring Hill Jack is totally new to me as well, so I'm very excited about this. But carry on.
I feel for me, like, it was so normal to be 14 or 15 and going to teen center ska shows, because Connecticut was one of the bigger, for East Coast, it was Connecticut, New York. But mind you, the difference is like 45 minutes to an hour. So any band you can name from New York or Massachusetts came to Connecticut to play at the Tune In, Toad's Place, the teen centers. And I didn't know it wasn't cool. Like it took years, right? It took years to find out, like, oh, people don't actually like ska this much.
Right.
But that's all I knew for years of my life. And then eventually I said, well, I'll never turn my back on ska like Jake Peralta, but maybe I'll try punk rock and hardcore and other things. I don't know.
You never turn your
But
back
that's-
on it like the Flatliners.
That's right. Yeah.
This is a hill that Kurt will die.
So
Sorry. You can
they're
cut that out
from
if I don't need it.
No, I like that. I
so
don't like
they're
the
from-
Flatliners now.
They're from Winnipeg.
Yeah,
right?
they're so big here.
And they're that's 2 provinces over from where we are. So we know the
Huge
Flatliners well. I saw them play when they were 16. They opened for Big D in the Kids Table.
Whoa.
And-
I guess I would have too.
Two of the members were arrested in Calgary for trying to go to a strip club underage.
Huh.
And so they couldn't make it up to Edmonton.
It's actually really good
So
dancers
it
in
was
Calgary.
just 2 members of the Flatliners, and this is Destroy to Create era, and they were just doing Sublime covers. And they ate shit so bad. It was the weirdest
It's
show I've
really
ever
too
seen.
bad that the Flatliners never released an album after Destroy to Create.
It is too bad.
A travesty, really. Tell that to fucking everyone in Edmonton. God, you
Oh,
can't
they're
go to a bar
huge.
without seeing like 16
that
Flatliners
type of-
shirts. And they
that
do
type
not
of-
like their ska phase.
No, that type
Do
of
not.
music though, like Flatliners, Comeback Kid,
Ugh.
Cancer Bats.
Cancer bats.
Yeah, like the kind of
Wait,
like hardcore.
Yeah, the Comeback Kid is
Adjacent.
great.
Yes. Comeback Kid is great. You know,
It's because of Propaganda.
that's
Propaganda made
actually
all that.
Also,
Yeah.
that's one of my favorite bands.
but I can hear a lot of hardcore references. I was arguing with Rob that I heard more hardcore references in your music than, what were you saying, thrash?
Yeah,
I hear
yeah.
more hardcore.
We should probably talk about that.
Yeah,
What are
I
the-
also really like your band. Like, I'm not just saying that.
Thanks.
Yeah, I like how hard it is, and I like that it's not just ska, because I'm quite burnt out on ska because of the podcast. And I really love ska shows, is what I'm realizing. I love to go to a ska show, but like sitting down and listening to Third Wave has been a lot. So I like genuinely, I'd be so stoked to see you guys live. Like, I really, really dig your music, and your video was so cute with the Rosie. You're so fun in it, and the little puppets, and it's very fun and cute. Oh yeah, and I had many questions about brontosauruses. I was talking to Rob, and he said that I should save it. So apparently brontosauruses were not dinosaurs, and then they were dinosaurs again.
Yes.
What?
Yeah.
That's wild.
No, they were never a dinosaur.
They were never a dinosaur.
They were never a dinosaur. They were not a dinosaur classified until 2015.
That's wild.
It
That's
is wild.
crazy.
That's why I'm so angry about it. Because
So why?
well, okay, so the whole song is about these 2 philanthropists in the late 1800s in the mostly in the East Coast of the U.S. that were trying to fund and discover the most species of dinosaur. And they were trying so hard to have this bone race is what I call it in the song. But they're having this race to discover the most.
That's
that they
cool.
also were then being deceitful.
Ah!
But the Brontosaurus isn't even that's the worst part of it, because the legacy of it. But like, they were so bad about it that they would be one of them would be at a dig site, right? And a dig site is where like the paleontologists are like sitting there and like scrubbing, brushing and finding bones. And then they're like, oh shit, the other guy's coming. Fuck, we got what we got. And they would set charges and blow the whole thing up.
So there's
And so
dinosaur
now-
bones just obliterated?
Yeah,
Yeah.
so there's
For glory, for Dino
There's-
glory.
correct. Oh, that's a fuck.
Dino
That's a
Glory.
Dino Glory's a really.
Why
Thank
you-
you.
Oh my
You guys
God.
can have that. You can have that. That's your next one.
That's gonna be on Twitter.
These-
We'll quote
But these
you.
guys were like destroying things and just trying out of like their own self-preservation of like history to discover the most. And then one of them was like, oh, if I take an adult and a child size of this Apathosaurus and something else and I mix them together, I'm going to call it the grand lizard, the Brontosaurus, I think is the Latin for it. However, we found out it was a ruse. Like the scientific community found out it was a ruse by like 1915 or 16.
That's
So we knew
crazy.
the Brontosaurus never existed from early 19th century or 20th century. And yet the U.S. arrogance was just like, no, man, we got to keep that going. And so in the 70s, the U.S. Postal Service was putting out a series of stamps, and they were like, here's all these dinosaurs, right? And it was like T-Rex, all this other shit.
No
Brontosaurus was
Bronto.
on there. And
Yes, Bronto.
Oh, yes,
everybody was
Bronto.
like, the scientific community, the world community was like, can you please not do that? Can you please not put the Brontosaurus on there? That's not a real dinosaur.
Yeah,
And
but a Patasaurus.
literally, the U.S. government went, oh, but it's so American.
The Brontosaurus.
To be fair, it is very American
Make
to,
America Bronto.
to
again.
celebrate a
I'm sorry, that
lie
was bad.
Maba.
as our history. So it is very American, technically, a capitalist lie. So that's
So where do we-
I learned about this probably, I don't know, 10, 12 years ago, and it blew my mind. It's something that we were so taught in school.
I learned this 10
Absolutely.
seconds ago. So where do you, so dino or no dino?
The Brontosaurus is not a dinosaur.
It's not a dinosaur.
No,
That's what we
it's a
landed
It's a
on.
Patasaurus.
But it
Is the dinosaur.
existed.
But yeah.
Did it not exist at the same
no,
time?
the
as
Brontosaurus
dinosaur?
never existed.
Yeah.
It just never existed.
Yeah.
So in 2015,
That's
what they did-
crazy. I don't know how to feel about this. There's no Brontosaurus.
correct.
Exactly.
No, in
I don't know.
2015, they found a version of it. They found a version of a new species.
That's
enough
crazy.
that they said, hey, we can classify this as a Brontosaurus. Let's finally do it and make it correct. And I call bullshit on that. I think that you're trying to make history match to something that wasn't ever real. Like
My heart is
you're still
broken.
building that interest of
But
like,
why?
well, we're
Because-
really sad.
Because they're the most sweet and gentle giant
there are,
of the
like,
dinosaur
A
community.
million other
What-
long-necked dinosaurs. Like
They're
the
always
Brontosaurus,
just
the
like-
You just said
Brachiosaurus.
they're the most sweet. What? They didn't exist. They're not the most sweet.
They are.
You mean the Littlefoot? You mean Littlefoot?
Littlefoot.
So-
Littlefoot.
So
And his
I-
mother?
I think this is important too.
That's
I said this
wild.
on Twitter. My son is 5 years old. Dinosaurs are his life. So I know this Brontosaurus thing. I also know that pterodactyl's not a dinosaur.
Oh my god! I have a
yeah.
new song coming out. It's
Yeah.
Redactadactyl. But
Oh, that's perfect. So I decided to play the No No Bronto video and get my son Will's review. So let's hope this
Yes.
plays.
Yes.
Here's his review.
Oh yeah, child review.
How did you feel about No No Bronto?
I liked it.
Aw.
Yes.
Yeah, he doesn't like much, so that's not things that Robert shows him.
No, he doesn't like anything I show him.
How much
Oh.
heavy music
We have
do
the
you,
youth vote.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How much
I still
heavy
can't
music do you show him then?
How much heavy music? I like metal, so I play a lot of
Okay, so
that.
you do- But how much sousaphone is in it?
Next to none.
Next
so
to
maybe
none.
you should start showing more sousaphone based music. So La Banda's very popular here.
Some polka.
Why don't you start busting out some La Banda and see if maybe that's what he needs, that sousaphone.
Maybe- More marches. He needs like some actual John Philip Sousa.
Yeah.
If I start
Yeah.
singing,
Yeah.
if I start singing, he often covers his ears and says, "Stop!" You didn't appreciate my Elmo impression? That's a big word for Elmo. Balsamic vinegar?
What is y'all's history with Spring Heel Jack USA? I feel like the person from Connecticut has the closest.
Yeah.
tie.
all the
yeah,
history.
it's just me.
My history was listening
They're
to
they're,
like 2 songs earlier this
So
week.
they're-
and today.
they're one of
Honestly,
the,
same.
they're one of the first ska bands I ever saw. They're one of the first ska bands I probably saw 20 plus times, and there's quite a few I've seen 20 plus times. But Spring Hill Jack would be one of the. I've seen them in teen centers, in clubs, in bigger venues. Weird enough, they're also one of the only ska bands that I've probably seen 20 plus times only in Connecticut. I've never seen them in any other state.
Dang.
I've grown to follow their members as they went on to other things. So like, to me, their catalog, like when I hear their earlier albums, especially re-listening this week, it was freaking me out. I just wanted to like dance in my warehouse job. Like it just, that is my youth. My youth to me is listening to bands like Spring Heel Jack, trying to then convince the rest of my band to listen to more Connecticut and East Coast ska, because we, growing up in such different parts of the country, we have such different memories and associations with what ska could have been or is.
Oh, absolutely. Actually, I would say, like, I, being from Colorado and then eventually Arkansas, I was very familiar with the Midwest and I would say down to the Texas region. So I grew up knowing a lot about, of course, Suicide Machines, MU330, but all the way down to Skarnales and Five Iron Frenzy, of course, I mentioned earlier. And so that scene I was very familiar with. And other than that, it was the radio hits, which would have been the Boss Tones and Real Big Fish. Obviously, going into college was just the tail end of the Napster era was right before that, but the internet was around, so I found out about a lot of things. And I knew Spring Heel Jack because, if I remember correctly, Jolene was one of their big MTV hits, right? Yeah. But other than that,
They covered it?
No,
No,
it's not a Dolly.
It's not a Dolly.
So anyway,
I was so excited.
So
Rosie, that's what I thought initially too, and I was a little disappointed. It's not a bad song, but I was like,
no one's allowed to do
it's
the
not a
ska
cover.
version of Jolene until we do, because we already have it.
We
It's
have
already
plans.
happened.
We have
Yes.
plans.
Nice. I love
I won't say
talking
anymore.
about the New England, like the non-Boston, non-New York ska scene in New England with your Spring Heel Jacks, your Edna's Goldfish, your Arrogant Sons of Bitches. I love that. Like, it's just such an interesting style that felt very unique to that area. That was unique to, like, if New York had all the jazz people, but then there was this like kind of weirdo sect just further east, further north, and it's kind of cool.
And it depends on how
That's
you
why
go.
you're in this
No,
band. I
it depends how you
understand.
go, because like, depending on where you lived in Connecticut and what band you're in, if you're closer to the border for New York or Massachusetts, you might have actually had a harder sound. You might have been more hardcore, because the hardcore scenes in Mass and New York were great.
Yeah.
Even though Connecticut, by the way, Connecticut had Earth Crisis, had Hatebreed, like bands that were massive on a hardcore scale. But that the ska there, it had a little bit of pop. And we could talk about it more when we get into it, but like a lot of big band horn, like that's, I think, what was Connecticut ska in that early era, and it's Spring Heel Jack, but it's also Sergeant Scagnetti and JC Super Ska, and the Allstonians from Massachusetts.
Oh, Allstonians are great. One Groovy Coconut,
dude. I got to play with every one of these bands at one point, and it blows my mind now as a fan more than anything. That I was like, oh yeah, I played with Big D like 7 times.
What?
Yeah.
Back when
Back in the
before
day.
they like fucking hit it.
I used to play
So
with Big D and the
cool.
Kids Table, Racquetball, Thumper, Spring Heel Jack. I played with Spring Heel Jack, by the way. Started
That's sweet.
like Pilfers. Pilfers were so into the band I was in at one. By the way, I used to be in a band called Obi Ska Kenobi.
Really?
Yeah, it was Obi Scott Kenobi.
Yes, best name.
And eventually that band became One Less Chicken. And at that point, Vinny and I actually might have just been Vinny Noble had invited the band to New York City to record and do a demo. And I had just gotten kicked out of that band. The only band I've really ever been kicked out of, because the guitar player didn't like me. I played guitar back then, not drums.
Fuck
But,
them. I'm kidding. I'm
Her
kidding.
bass
Kurt's
player
just
is
like, we gotta-
phenomenal. She was the best dude at my wedding recently, but the rest of
We
them-
love her, not fuck
Yeah,
her.
we love Carla.
And Carla's fantastic.
Carla
She actually
rules.
helped
You know
her
what?
write one of the songs.
I've
on the
always
album.
said I love Carla.
So yeah, if we may give props real fast to Carla, she did help write the song
co-write.
No Outside Tanks on the With a Vengeance. So that bass line was, I modified it because I'm a shitty bass player, but she wrote it.
Sweet, that's awesome.
So this is the perfect time. Let's enter the time ska sheen.
Yes.
So I pulled some details from various sources. They wrote their own Last FM bio, which is always helpful. The Upbeat Ska Zine did an interview with Spring Heel Jack. Also some interviews with Pause and Play, the Orlando Weekly, and then some various stuff I got from like All Music, Wikipedia, blah, blah, blah. All right, let's do it. The year is 1991. Ron Regana, whoa, I fucked up
Celine,
his name so
a 1-year-old.
Ron Regana had just finished a 6-month stint playing bass for Skavuvi and the Epitones.
The Epitones.
So
Out
good.
of Boston, Massachusetts.
Yeah. So close to Mass.
That's
Went
a
out
very
there,
fun
played for 6
name.
months. Oh, they're so good.
That's a very fun name.
They're
Skavuvi.
very good, by the way.
Yeah, fat footin'. And had returned to Connecticut. And as the saying goes, it was time to get the band back together. Before his time in the Epitones, he had a local band called Spring Heel Jack, and he thought, might as well make this my full-time gig. Unfortunately, only one person wanted to come back, and that was Dave Karchich on the drums. And so the two of them decided to switch up the instruments they were playing and fill the rest of the lineup. Grabbed another co-guitar, co-vocalist in Mike Pellegrino. And
I love his water.
Yeah. As well as Rick Amonte to fill in on the bass. And then they got the linchpin horn section of Chris Rhodes on the trombone, Pat Gringus on trumpet, and James Riley on the saxophone.
Correct.
But by 1993, this lineup had already enough material to release Connecticut Ska, aka CT Ska, which was the demo that essentially started off what would become the New Haven ska scene. And this is what Mike said about this. When we started out, there weren't any other ska bands in Connecticut. New York is a scary place. We played there 30 times and still worry that people are going to hate us on any given night. And we had Boston nearby, so we had the chance to play in really cool scenes, really cool cities.
Hey, we're skanking here.
Yeah, exactly. So as the band gained word of mouth and contributed song after song to various compilations, Bucket of Moon Ska began to take notice. This is the first time we've actually covered a Moon Ska band.
I don't even know what Moon Ska is. It's a
Yeah.
record
Fun fact,
label?
Rob Bucket now lives in Texas in San Antonio. So the Toasters are a Texas.
I actually didn't know that.
Yeah. So Bucket got into Spring Heel Jack.
Yeah, big fan. And he was the venerable king of Northeast Ska at the time. And so getting renowned with a tastemaker like him was good. And especially since at this time, Spring Heel Jack was very horn heavy, like that really complex horn lines, which was right up Buck's alley. Because at that time in 93, this would have been Dub 56 era Toasters. So yeah, this would have been the horniest that they've even been. Yeah.
One of the best.
We'll
one
get
of the
into
best
that.
Toaster albums ever.
Dub 56, yeah, that's the king for me. I love it so much.
Ditto.
But getting signed to Moon would be too big a commitment for some of the members. So
They got day
Genghis
jobs.
ended up leaving and got replaced by Tyler Jones. And Riley left halfway through and got replaced by someone by the name of Pete Wazalewski. Where have we heard those names before? Oh, maybe that'll come up later. Here's what Dave said about the recording process. I remember at least 3 or 4 times during the first record, us running out of money, having to stop record, go out and play some songs, get more money, and come back and record again. It took years because their first album, this was 93 that they got signed. First album released in 1996.
Summer of Ska.
Good timing. Summer of Ska. The album, Static Worldview, released on Moon Ska, combined the band's love of complex horn arrangements, metatextual lyrics, and idiosyncratic humor. The time was perfect as ska broke into the mainstream, and the band became the target of major label suitors. The Feeding Frenzy was enough for the band to turn down Moon for a second album, but before we get into that, let's talk Static Worldview.
Moon was just obsessed with them.
First, I have one pitch.
Let's hear
We
it.
don't have to talk about Connecticut Ska demo.
No, I don't have anything from there, but yeah.
No, I know it's fine. Half the songs were re-recorded over the next 2 albums, and 2 of the songs are so good you'll be very sad if you didn't listen to them. Which is "Rude Angel" and "Ruder Than You." They're fantastic. But here's my Connecticut Ska guy from Connecticut. Loves this band. I used to have a copy of this on cassette, and in my 20s, I was living in a house with like 7 people. And I paid rent to live on a couch. And so my collection of like CDs and cassettes and whatnot and vinyl were in the living room. And somebody stole my Connecticut Ska tape.
Oh, no.
And I'm a collector. Like I keep all my CDs, vinyl, cassettes, etc. I still buy every format I can. My pitch is this: I know no one has an extra copy, but JR, anyone else, anyone that if somebody has an extra copy of Connecticut Ska that I can buy from them or they can ship to me for a hug, I don't know what it would take. I'm just so sad. Like I really like when somebody stole it, and it was 2004 that I realized it was gone. I was like, oh no, like this is I can't be missing this. This is a part of my youth. Like it's part
This
of
is
my
my
history.
checkered past.
This is my checkered past.
Hey, that's the
And-
name of our podcast.
So
We did that on purpose so that you'd have a sound bite to promote the show with.
Ariane, edit that out.
So, anyways, if anyone actually has an extra copy, I don't know that JR guy enough and that bigger band he's in, but I'm sure he has two copies. Whatever, it doesn't matter. But let's go to Static Worldview, because that album is, my God, does that represent Connecticut Ska? So please, well, how did you want to lead in with that?
Yeah, why don't we start with the
That
first
sounds
track?
good.
Let's do One Way, track 1.
Oh,
Just like that.
fantastic.
I like their samples. This sounds like Ballroom Blitz.
It's like a swing beat.
Are you ready, Steve? Andy? Nick? All right, fellas. Let's go!
That was pretty good, actually. Nicely played.
It just makes you want to dance.
But there's only one way to skank.
There's only one way to skate. It's universal.
I actually kind of took offense to that. I was like, you should be able to skank however you want.
I think
Well,
they're being
there's
funny.
about 40 different ways. I was going to bring that up, but
I like on the first record they do more like dual vocals. I love it.
Woohoo!
Nice.
Yeah, that's fun. I like that.
That's a good song. Yeah, their horn section is I think on this record in particular, and on the next one too. But man, they're just like so good.
So how big was this band? Because like this is brand new to mine ears.
they, at this era, they were still regional. So they were still like East Coast,
Okay.
Northeast based. They didn't really travel out too much. But a lot, because again, these guys weren't listening to this the same way
Mhm.
back when I was. There's so much of a New York big band sound to the horns. And I think
Yeah,
that's
there's like a
really-
swingy vibe.
Spring Hill Jack, man, their horn lines on this album are just, they're ridiculous. Like, they're so good.
The vocals are like really good too. Like
I want
Not
to lean into that
very
and say, as they get on to their albums, the next album really showcases his vocals.
His vocals, yeah.
Like,
so they have
Ron-
yeah.
Ron's vocal ability on this first album, like, it's good.
But he's not
but-
showing off.
No,
He's not like
it's-
being a big singer. He's like it feels like this is. The
I
Ska at the time.
noticed that he had like just a good singing voice though, which
he
again
does,
is
he does, absolutely.
They also could have cranked up the volume on this first track of his
The mixing
vocals.
is weird.
I'm just saying
Yeah.
right now because that was
Oh.
the one thing like, you could barely hear those vocals on half that stuff. But
yeah. That's
The
fair.
mixing on this album is terrible.
no, it's
Yeah,
terrible.
the production isn't great.
I remember somebody one time said that every Moon Ska is the perfectly mixed album. I don't know why somebody thought they're like, oh, Buck just knows how to make a good Ska album.
No.
And I was like, no, there's some pretty
No.
bad ones. Like the Checkered Cabs is pretty bad. Like, I don't know if there's any fans of that band out there, but they're not my favorite. Speaking of horn lines, I have one of their, there's a bunch of instrumentals on here and they're all great. I have
Fantastic.
Pig Bates queued up, which has killer horns in it. Woo! Hot damn.
That bass is actually pretty good too. He's taking a walk. Oh. Reminding me of every hip hop song now.
No, seeing these guys in this era, it was like them, Pilfers, and Two Skinny Jays, which were a
Yeah.
ska band that went hip hop.
Okay.
having those moments where like everybody in the crowd is like, oh,
Yeah,
like, that was
that's
such a
very
good part of
hip-hop.
the tune-in. It was so fun.
That's fun. I like that. It's very catchy and melodic, which I like. Always appreciate it. You can dance to it. Do 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 do. Pick it up.
Even the end of that song, by the way, this album has a lot of like pop culture moments, horn lines from Blues Brothers to like ba 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 ba, like other things that are like, oh, we know what this is. Like we've heard this before. Even
And that's
Aerosmith,
something
right?
that your band does, is a lot of references too. That's fun. So
Not
I
reference
see why you
shit.
Nothing. Our band
'Cause
name's
you're-
not based on that or anything.
I was gonna say your name is like what, from the French Connection or something.
Correct.
Yeah.
It's from The Color of Night. It's a random Bruce Willis movie no one's
So,
ever seen.
anyway, I'm really into the Greek classics, and so the Iliad and the Odyssey is a bit.
It's just one of those books. I've learned recently that there's multiple books in the Bible, not just one book. So
Yes, there are
I'm a-
many books.
Why would you do that?
Rules,
Don't do that with
that's
these guys. They're
That
gonna.
is so funny though.
You're
It's
gonna
a
get
good-
3
So
hours
Hans
of God.
Gruber is like Ruth, right?
Yeah,
it's
God,
like
that's a
one
good
of the
band name right
books. It's one of the books.
That's why the Bible's such a good value. So many books.
So many-
For free from the Gideon.
The Gideons give you so many.
I only have one more song I have queued up for this album, and that's
What the fuck? It's the best album. Sorry.
it's the single,
What's
Hey,
the
it is?
single?
Face and Juice. Yeah.
Again, another great little moment. with-
Isn't that Hall of the Mountain King?
Yes, it is.
That's crazy. I didn't even know. That's crazy. I didn't
That's
even.
Vince Noble right there too, by the way.
That's metal. It'd be fun to write lyrics to Hall of the Mountain King. I was a spooky man in the mountains. Welcome to my hall. Now I'm in summer.
Yeah, the vocals are real low. This mix is not that great. It's a fun song, man.
That's also very hip hop.
Oh yeah, the jumping up and down stuff.
Pogo-y hip hop.
Good stuff.
It's also half of the Boss Stones bridges. It's all the same.
Oh
Like-
yeah.
Like the Boss Stones and this are like that kind of twist into the bridge chorus is like that's what ska was in the East Coast.
Well, because Boss Tones also has tons of like metal influence too, right?
Yeah, well,
Right.
but,
Busting hardcore.
but I mean, half the dudes in the Boss Stones were in hardcore
Like-
bands.
Yeah, they're like hardcore dudes.
and
That's why they have that like timing and like breakdown and
while Dickie Bear can go, Dickie fuck himself. Is that a term now?
No, that's great. I love it.
No, because he's like weirdly anti-vax and like other.
oh,
shit
we've
right now.
discussed it.
It has come up on the pod several
No,
times.
Yeah, he just played an anti-vax rally in LA.
Yeah.
No, did
Yeah,
he?
he did.
Oh, he's doubling
He's
down.
the anti-vax savior.
He wants all of ska. He wants all of ska to get behind.
He's
But,
anti-vax.
but you know what?
Jesus.
Fuck that. Because Spring Hill Jack has connections to Boston, so I'm really sad about it for the rest of them. Dude, pay some dues. Like that is the song for me that like that is Spring Hill Jack. Like that is when you went to see him, that was the song you wanted. That and Looking in the Mirror, Running Man. Like you wanted to hear those two
See,
songs.
I liked Running Man. That stood
Oh.
out for me a lot
Oh,
on the
that's-
album.
Also the better track, technically.
Yeah, that's honestly one of the like I always listen to it at work in the background and then I'll like give it an actual listen. And Running Man stood out to me, and so did Big Stone Cowboy.
Oh, the
Was that on
last
this
track?
album? Yeah, I liked it.
No, yeah, that's like the last track on the album, isn't it?
I don't know, it was good. I just realized that's
Okay,
all I
yeah,
have in my
yeah.
notes, man.
It's a good song, yeah.
Yeah, that's what stood out as like a casual listen to me.
Pace
Everything
of Dudes
else-
and Running Man
Running Man was good.
I
Probably
overall-
would have been a good song to put on.
Overall, I really like Static Worldview. I was shocked at I hadn't listened to it since like probably 15 years.
Yeah, you didn't
And-
say your history with Spring Hill Jack.
Like when I was first getting into ska, they came up a bunch for some because I got into Edna's Goldfish a lot, and so because I was into Edna's
Oh, I remember
Goldfish,
them.
I got to play a show or two with them.
oh
I
yeah,
love them.
That's sweet.
I have the first record on vinyl when they did the reissue on Asbestos. I love it. It's so good.
I grew up with Matt
And-
Flood. We're from the same hometown.
That's
sick.
cool.
Yeah.
And so then I got into Spring Hill Jack, and that new one that they just had wasn't out at this time because it was like 2005.
17.
And so I listened to those two, Static Worldview and Songs from Suburbia, quite a bit, but I didn't remember them. And then listening back, I was like, oh, I forgot that their horn section is like one of the tightest, best horn sections at the time. Like it's actually wild.
And in all
so looking back on
technicality,
it.
when they broke up, their horn section, for the most part, went to Real Big Fish, Less Than Jake, and Mighty Mighty
Yeah.
Boss.
Oh, really? Like the horn section dispersed into other ska bands?
Yeah.
Put a pin in this because it might
Put a
come
pin
up
in
later. So actually, this is perfect time looking at the time, and this is a great place for a halfway point. So we're gonna take a break, and when we get back, we're talking the rest of the albums. Welcome back to Checkered Past. We're here with Kurt, Chris, and Rosie from Hans Gruber and the Diehards, and we're talking Spring Hill Jack. We just finished discussing their 1996 debut album, Static Worldview, and now we're heading through the time ska sheen to the other side of this one. So we had mentioned that the band was considering major labels, and they actually followed through on that, and they signed to Ignition, which isn't really that big a label on its face because they're like where Primal Scream is from. But they were they were distributed through Tommy Boy Records, which is like a huge hip hop label. So they did get that major label bump, and this added some extra exposure for them, which is how they were able to get more nationwide and less regional.
So did that album do well?
The first one, Static
Yeah.
Worldview,
Yeah.
in that area,
Okay.
it would have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Locally, it did well?
Yeah, for
Okay.
sure. That's why and it was 96, 97.
Yeah,
so
that's what I'm
majors
like.
would
It must
been
have
all
done
over.
well-ish.
But at this time, they had to add that USA to their name because there was already a Spring Heel Jack
I discovered that.
in the UK. They were a drum and bass jungle band,
Yeah.
and they were
They're not very good.
But they had released. I didn't listen.
Oh,
they
it
had
wasn't
released-
good.
They released their stuff first, so they had to come to an agreement to say we're USA, we're UK. Spring Heel Jack did put the USA. Spring Heel Jack did not put the UK.
But they were supposed
Yeah.
to.
They were
There's
supposed to,
part of the
but
agreement.
they didn't.
Yeah, part of the agreement was that so a lot of band names are regional and you can kind of win on that, but when a major label takes you on, not knowing how successful you'll be, they're like, hey, no, you have to be Spring Hill Jack USA just in case. And so they had a legal back and forth with Spring Hill Jack UK. The agreement was both would add their respective countries, and Spring Hill Jack UK actually never did.
Yeah. It's, fuck you, Spring. I'm just kidding.
So
And this is
yeah, fuck those guys.
those two.
Not that Spring
well,
Hill Jack ever called themselves Spring Hill Jack USA.
No.
by the way.
Lady Gaga, USA.
This is what
They didn't know. They just didn't know.
this is what Dave said about the whole matter. If it had to come down to a brawl for the name, we have 7 guys and they only have 2.
Ha, Scott.
Oh, man, power.
Yeah,
pretty
drum
good.
and especially like session, like drum and bass.
I will
people.
say I never get tired of we have too many member ska jokes. Like
Yeah.
that's always funny. So the label was able to get the band booked at the Hit Factory, where you could have seen albums recorded by John Lennon, Bruce Springsteen, and the Rolling Stones. The resulting album was Songs from Suburbia, released in 1998 at the twilight of the summer of ska. It saw the band eschew some of their more chaotic early years in favor of a more soulful Motown approach with more guitars and mid-tempos, with the single Jolene a minor radio hit and potentially the band's most well-known song.
So good.
So why don't we start there? This is the single, Jolene. And yes, not related to Dolly Parton. It's about a van.
Please don't take him just
It is
because you
about a band.
can.
It's about their band.
Not about a man, it's about a van.
Eyeball, the best eyeball song about a band. I think it's like
So it's already more guitar-y. Not nearly as fast, but still kind of upbeat. How do you feel about those vocals, Celine?
It's kind of Mad Caddies-esque.
A little bit.
A little Billy.
Do you think?
Yeah, definitely, because I'll wait.
The vocals remind me of Ska'd. Yeah. Yeah.
One of my favorite parts from that.
And it
it's-
stops.
No, it's one of those songs that's a vocal flex for Ron.
Oh yeah, for
So-
sure.
Yeah, like the way he's able to perfectly, in my opinion, perfectly carry a note on this song while recording is wonderful. I used to get goosebumps re-listening to this song.
He's a
It's not
very
even
good
my favorite
singer.
song in the album. It's just the fact that like hearing him be like, and like, I'm like, oh,
Like,
stop! It's
hold-
so good. Like,
The breath
Holding notes.
control. The breath control.
yeah.
I feel like there's Billy vibes. There's rock. So I often talk about my rockabilly past. So I find a lot of rock. No, it wasn't. I mean, not like it was. There, nothing really bad happened. It's just very cringy. But yeah, this album art was very Billy. This was very.
The album art.
I feel like they toured with rockabilly bands. I would put money on that at some point.
Yeah.
Ska and rockabilly, especially in the 90s.
Yeah. What do you think about the kind of the change in the style from the first album to this one?
So that's the thing, right? So I grew up so heavily with Static Worldview that I think my first 4 years of ska shows were that.
Right.
So when this album came out, it was no diss, it was no like anger. It was just a realization that this was a different kind of style of band. Like it's kind of pop punk, right?
Yeah.
It's taking the more distorted guitar elements of punk and putting it to ska, where you do not hear that. In fact, I think some of the weak points on Static Worldview is where you don't hear more distorted guitar. But on this album,
yes,
it's like,
I agree with that.
Shit, this is like all distorted guitar. There's a couple songs that there's no ska. And Static Worldview has none
Ska
of it.
everywhere.
Like, there's not one moment that's not ska. But this album, there's 4 songs that are like, that's a pop punk song.
This is
They literally have a song about being a pop song.
yeah, which I didn't queue up, but that was like one that I was thinking about putting on.
Do you hear the Mad Caddies vocals? I really do. I feel like
I love the Mad Caddies.
Yeah.
I hear some of that soulfulness.
Just that, like, it reminds me of the song. I can't remember, but it's like, we hadn't had a meal for 3 days and I hadn't had a beer for 4.
I think they're catching the same references. Like I do get a Motown vibe.
Maybe the Motown vocals,
out of the vocals. So yeah, I think that's where it's come from.
I will say, because I had to go back and listen to Spring Heeled Jack because like I said, I knew that Jolene and some of the hits. And I think one of the reasons I never got into Spring Heeled Jack is because some of these hits from this album never liked. And so
There you go.
it kind of reflects that getting into that kind of pop punk, that pop ska sound from that time period was to me a bad thing, because like that 1996 album, when I went, because Chris was like, the reason we turned it on to Chris is because he said, "Oh, Checkered Past." I'm like, "Oh, Chris is gonna pull
He's been around
out some."
forever. He'll have some obscure, like really cool
I'm like,
thing to talk about.
he'll choose something, and he chose Spring Heeled Jack, which I was familiar with, but I was familiar with the pop hits. And I listened to that first album that he told me to go do, and I was like, "Oh, holy shit!" Like, this is a band that I know countless bands that tried to sound like Spring Heeled Jack's first album and did very bad.
Yes, Double Happiness by Slow Birkin.
Because Static Worldview is great. But then Songs from Suburbia I went to go listen to, and it was like, this is the same band. From an outside perspective, I hadn't gone and listened to their discography. It was like, this is disappointing to go from that to that. Which is my personal
I know.
opinion.
Personal
Yeah.
taste, yeah.
Hey, no, I know, and I obsess over this album. Skacore Review is always going to be one of my favorite Connect Ska albums ever. To watch a band you love and you get to play with, right? Like I got to play shows with Spring Hill Jack before this album came out with. To watch them do that album that brought them to the next level.
Oh yeah,
I will forever love. And same with Big D, by the way. The first Asian Man Records, Big D,
Good Luck.
Good Luck.
Yeah.
I played with Big D fucking 7 or 8 times, 12 times before that. To watch Big D get that album come out, same thing with Songs for Suburbia, where you're like, man, I'm so like just proud and inherently happy.
So I read that's an interesting categorization of, maybe it's a Connecticut thing where there isn't as much stigma for selling out. Like it's like, oh my god, the bands we like are doing well. They're
and we're
doing
happy for them.
We're so happy they're doing well.
I'm so glad they can pay their rent.
Yeah.
And I emphasize my issues had nothing to do with them selling out. It was a sonic thing there.
Oh yeah.
If you're reading about Connecticut, like we never. I don't think there was ever that. I don't think so many people in Connecticut Ska went on to do great things. I don't think there was ever a sellout moment.
Yeah.
I think if you watch the band grind for those 5 or 7 years, if we grind for the 7 years we've been doing and we hit a different caliber, like I don't want people to think we sell out. I want people to be like, holy shit, they finally got
the work.
They got
was worth it.
We paid some dues. I thought the whole fucking song. Like I think we did that moment. I think Spring Hill Jack and this Goldfish and all these other bands that had moments of elevation. And this Goldfish is actually probably a bad example, as good as their albums are.
So I have a new horn line.
Oh no.
On the song coming up. So hear me out.
Oh my god. What's happening?
So is that gonna be you think that's gonna be a good hit for us?
That's like that Eichler's song.
That's a solid
we've discussed this before, like the 90s. I don't think it's the same way now, but like the 90s were so like, you're a poser, you're selling out. Like we don't really call people posers anymore.
Why would you?
It's so mean. I'm sorry you're just getting into something that you like.
My shitty job.
Yeah, I'm sorry that I'm literally doing what I love to make money. Like, no, that's great. That's fantastic. You should be happy.
As somebody who like had never listened to this album before, I thought this stood out more than Static View.
No,
this was my favorite listen.
The production is fantastic.
Yes, and I found more songs stood out. Jolene, I didn't. Well, the only thing I said about Jolene was, what was it? Jolene, Jason Caruso mix. Where's the Jason Derulo mix? My notes are very unimportant. But yeah, I tied up Mass Appeal Madness and Man of Tomorrow.
Oh, I have Man of
like
Tomorrow.
Fucking jams.
We should play Man of Tomorrow because it's got somebody that we mentioned already on it.
Yeah. Yes, but
Jolene wasn't that good.
No, I was gonna say 1959 is my favorite track from the album.
I also have that queued up, so we'll play right after.
So who is doing this?
Cooley Ranks.
It's Cooley Ranks.
Okay, it's like I said.
Uncredited.
Okay, so I said.
And Vinnie Noble.
From the Pills.
Man of Tomorrow had that sweet reggae from a legit reggae person? Question mark? Legit? I hope so.
Cooley Ranks.
Yeah. I was like, that person can't be white.
He's not white.
No, I thought it would be problem. We listen to a lot of Fake and Jamaican, so I am on Fake and Jamaican edge on this podcast.
Cooley Ranks is English. He's English Jamaican born,
and it's legit as fuck.
He's English Jamaican born and then moved to New York. He's the same vocalist for the Toasters dubbed 56.
So they also, to their credit, did not fake in Jamaican and got a real fucking legit ass person to do, and that's what you should. That's a great example. No Doubt could never.
Yeah, could never. or
No Doubt could never.
No Doubt actually
later on.
They had a horn section at one point. They had a few Jamaican dudes in it.
They're fake and Jamaican. They had some, but they still couldn't help themselves to use an accent.
Mad Caddy's first album too.
Yeah,
we
Mad Caddy's
discovered
first album,
was
too.
like we're like
Because we keep saying like, oh, it's of the time, but then there's examples like this where it is the time, and they still did better.
The first Mad Caddies album isn't their best. Duck and Cover, their second album. That's
Duck and Cover had Preppy Girl, right?
For listeners, go back and listen to our Mad Caddies 1 episode.
Mini
Mini
Vandal? Yeah.
Let's play 1959.
Oh.
Good year. I'm just kidding.
I think that song is about why that's a bad year.
Yeah. What happened in 1959?
This is like an anti-boomer song.
Anti-boomer?
It is.
It's an anti-boomer song. From the Gen X.
I was going to say, these are Gen Xers.
Karen.
Sorry, let you know.
Brenda's, Karen's. Okay.
Yeah, those vocals are right up your alley.
I know, I do. These are Celine vocals.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Mm-hmm. This is like fun music to sing along to, which is always, that's why I like Mad Caddies, is it's fucking fun to sing to. I can see singing to this song. This is good.
Yeah.
But your parents trying to tell you how to be better when they did the same shit.
When they weren't good.
Yeah.
Time
Time is one of the best tracks on an album. It's a
I'll have to re-listen.
Oh, I almost, yeah.
I'll
like
have to
that.
re-listen to
I'll
that.
go ahead and put Time back into this because I want to go ahead and bring up the because I went and listened to I didn't listen to the last album, but I listened to the EP and these two albums. And Time on the EP was the first one I messaged Chris and was like, this is a fucking great track. Like it's sing-alongable, it's fantastic. And he's like, oh, you'll hear it on Songs for Suburbia. And it literally is just a better version of the EP version.
Well-recorded version.
And it's good.
Catchy, it's good. It's, I mean, if I may say so, it was a precursor for what was going to happen on Songs for Suburbia, which even though I overall didn't like the album as much, I think that song stood out so much. It's such a catchy, fun track.
I'd say the track that is the weirdest choice may be the Fish cover. I could have done without that, but that's just me.
I didn't even notice.
Makasupa Policeman is a Fish cover. Yeah.
Okay, what's
it
Fish?
sucks.
What's
It's
Fish?
actually- it's not
PHISH?
good.
Yeah, actually. Oh, like what do you mean?
The jam band. Yeah.
Oh, like are you talking like Analyze Fish?
Yeah, like
They're-
the
the podcast.
They're
Fish,
super big in the East Coast.
Oh yeah.
They're
So
like
that
a
makes
Grateful
sense.
Dead.
But
They're like
that-
a Grateful Dead like touring band. Like people go to Fish,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
Yeah, real big fish bone.
Real big PHISH bone.
Oof. What are they? Are they like a jam band or like
Yes.
is it funk? What is it?
All that.
Oh.
Like their songs
All
are like
the above.
20 minutes
Eat
long.
mushrooms, you'll find out.
Yeah.
I have, and I haven't found out yet. Eaten so many mushrooms.
All right.
You haven't eaten enough. You'll get it.
I haven't eaten enough.
Just
One
keep-
day I'll be
keep
like, I
going,
got
and you'll
it.
find out.
Just keep
That's
eating
gonna
them.
take
Just
some
keep
time.
eating them.
That just means you haven't
when the
eaten
cat-
enough mushrooms.
When the cat ears are permanent.
Everything
you
makes
know.
sense.
Then you know.
You just see me at the next Fish concert, and I'm like, "Want to buy my mushroom cookies?"
It'd be something like that. It'd be like, I made quiche for everyone.
Yeah. I've been to 50 of their shows. I quit my job. I just travel with Fish now.
All right. So we're taking the time, Skashi, now to 1999, when the band had their biggest touring year yet, hooking up with the Dancehall Crashers, the Bosstones, Real Big Fish, and the Warped Tour. In a bid to get their songs into a movie a la Save Ferris, they submitted Jolene to the soundtrack of Never Been Kissed.
Did
Even-
it go? Did it get to it? No.
They even changed the name of the song to Josie, which is Drew
Aw,
Barrymore's
yeah.
character.
Josie Grossi.
Rosie.
Yeah.
But
That's a chick thing.
Yeah. they got
That's a
turned down.
vagina thing. Josie Grossi, bitch.
They got turned down.
Vagina
got
Thing. That's
turned.
my other new band.
And me and Vagina Thing.
That's my new
Man, I can't wait for your guys' band.
It's our new band, Rosie. It's Rosie Grossie.
Yeah.
Rosie.
That's my stage name. That's my stage name for Vagina Thing.
Rosie Grosie Vagina. I am excited for this project.
Christmas so much. It was very good.
So Tommy Boy would peel off Ignition Records from their holdings and would wind down most of their operations, dropping many of the acts, leaving behind the band labelless. They would try to get label interest, but after the Summer of Ska, labels did not want bands with horn sections, even though they were running around saying, we're not going to do ska anymore. This was enough of a catalyst for founding member Karchich to call it quits permanently, which prompted the rest of the band to do the same. They were enough of a local favorite, though, that fans wanted reunion shows, which they were happy to accommodate. However, tragedy was struck that interrupted the plans as Karchich suffered an aneurysm and died at the age of 28.
That's sad.
Yeah.
All right, well,
young.
so there's two stories with this. I also wanted to remember things, and I was reading the wiki page for Spring Heel Jack, and I was shocked to see this, but at the point that some of the members of Spring Heel Jack were like, hey, we want to do other things, right? Like, we want to be in other bands. I don't think this is working out, or we're not going to be, committed enough to tour. They're like, let's do the occasional show.
Right.
Well, one of their reunion shows when they came back together was at Toad's Place in Connecticut. And here's the thing.
We started out friends.
No,
I'm sorry.
Chris Rhodes, one of their horn players, who
Trombonist.
famously went on to other bands, couldn't be there for it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Chris Rhodes could not be at this show, but they're like, we got to do the show. And they did the show. And I was at the show, by the way.
Oh.
Yeah. I was at most of the reunion and other benefit shows they had. So here we are at the show, and Chris Rhodes can't be there. And so they were live streaming the fact that Chris Rhodes couldn't be there because
live streaming. What era was this? Era. I can't speak.
2004. They were.
You could live stream in 2004.
They were showing the. They were showing the Dave
MySpace.
Letterman. No, they were showing the late night Dave Letterman show on the big screen at Toad's.
Okay.
While
Damn.
Jack was playing, waiting, and it's all pre-recorded. And they knew this. They're waiting for the moment for that show, that the Dave Letterman show, to have the Mighty Mighty Bosstones with Rhodes in Bosstones, because that's the band he joined.
Right.
So the entire show fucking stopped. We all stopped. We stopped dancing. We stopped fucking singing. They're like, hey, no, Bosstones are going to do this. Let's all watch. And we watched the Bosstones on Letterman with Chris Rhodes from Spring Heel Jack.
Aww.
We all watched it together.
That's really cool.
And it's pre-recorded,
cool.
right?
That's nice.
So they called him.
Oh.
After the fact. And it's pre-recorded, right? He's in LA. That's why he was on the show. So they called him, and they're like, hey, you have to hear this. And they prepped us, and we all did a version of Bosstones, and we're like, where is Chris Rhodes? and that's what we're like.
Where is Chris Rhodes? Where is Chris Rhodes?
Where is Chris Rhodes? Yeah.
I want to know.
We, as a crowd, sang to Chris Rhodes.
That's very funny. Now that's all I'm going to hear is where is Chris Rhodes?
You should. I was shocked. I was shocked to see that on the wiki page.
Oh, it's not just
where
your
is Chris
memory.
Rhodes?
It's
No,
on the internet.
When I was
Your
reading the
memory
wiki
is
page, I was like,
validated.
I was at that fucking show. Also,
Yeah.
going to when Dave, their drummer, passed away from a brain aneurysm at 28. So that show, I think it was like 7-8 months later, it was like a benefit show for a charity for him, and it was all the bands tied together. So it was Spring Heel Jack, and it was Pilfers. Apparently, I think We Are the Union might have been there for one of the nights.
Oh, cool.
Dang.
Wow, way back.
That would have been they're starting out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Watch who.
They started in 2005.
And Senzo is one of those other bands that, like, Senzo is the Pilfers and Spring Heel Jack. It's Vinny Noble with two of the dudes from Spring Heel Jack. And I don't think you guys have ever heard of that name, right? Senzo?
No.
Yeah.
No.
Like, I know you know Pilfers now.
Yeah.
For us, like, Pilfers is toasters, bim scala bim, pilfers, send.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I know.
I know.
Yeah.
Pilfers have come to Texas, so that's why, and play with both this band and another band Kurt and I are in, so that's kind of how we know them.
Another band?
That wiki page is pulled from their
Did you not
last
know we're in
FM.
a second band?
No, what's the second band?
Ska band. It's called Los Curados.
Oh, really? That's cool.
Oh, I'm not in this.
Just me
So,
and him. We're
me
the
and-
Los
we're the horn
Güeros. We're the white people
Yeah.
that play horns.
Oh, that's fun. That's rad, though. I didn't know. I'll check that out. That's sweet.
Go ahead and edit in one of the songs right now.
No.
Right? They got back together sort of in 2010, and then since then they just do a lot of reunions. They did an album in 2017 called Sound Salvation, which I was gonna play. Maybe I'll play one song off of because we are now
one?
like running out of time. Which one do you want to hear? I have Slip Sliding and
I
No
like
Sleep.
keep. Oh, okay, I didn't like that.
Man,
I mean, I
it's
did
hard.
not like it.
St. Anthony's really good. Young Girl is a pop song.
I like Keep Me Up.
I don't have
Slip
any of Slip Sliding. Let's play that one because it sounds like
Yeah.
the Blues Brothers.
So yeah, the production is super
That's the
clean.
fucking note I had.
Yeah.
That's their earliest thing, by the way. Spring Hill Jack, the Connecticut demo. Half the horn lines are Blues Brothers.
I just wanna pop to pieces.
See, it's this new album's very Billy to me. Very,
there's
very
the
Billy.
Billy.
Like,
Very Billy.
I
Very,
want better down.
Yeah,
popping.
I hear that.
It's not very ska. It's more soul R&B rock.
a lot of Motown on this one more than ever.
Yeah.
Big
I
time.
think I always believe that he found his voice on their second album. He crushed it for this third. But there's a 10-year window. He's older. Like most bands we know that played ska 10 years ago don't want to play ska. So he's leaning into other shit. Which he should. His voice is beautiful. I fucking love it.
Do whatever you
love
want.
music.
Yeah. I listened to this album and I was nonplussed overall, I
No,
would say.
I
Not for
was trying to
everybody.
tell Kurt for this interview. I was like, I heard the album twice when it came out, once randomly, and then one more time for this interview. Like, I don't dislike it. I just don't connect with it. I do very much enjoy all the elements of it. I really do. And in fact, the last track, Young Girl, is like a perfect pop song. It's not a ska song. I love pop. Like, that's my shit.
I love pop too. So I if I didn't dislike this album. If I saw this band live playing this sound, I would like it. I'd be dancing. I'd be like living my best cougar life, and I would be.
You wouldn't be skanking. You'd just be like,
Oh, that
Good way to skank.
this has cougar vibes. We have a bar called Blues on White,
This is very
and
Blues
this
on
is
White.
a Blues on
This is
White
the most
band,
Blues
and
on
I mean
White
that as a
band.
compliment. I
Yeah.
love Blues on White, but this is a Blues on White band. Like this would every
It's self-published, self-released,
yeah.
digital only. It's fine. They did a thing and they did it.
What do you actually feel?
I don't love it. I said that.
No,
Fine.
I don't either. One of the things that brought me joy. So one of my favorite bands, and then now the fact that we're friends and we've released a 7-inch. Sergeant Skagnetti is a thing I also can freak out about. They were a band that were equally important to me, like Sergeant Skagnetti, Spring Hill Jack. When we got to finally play with them, release a song with them, etc., it's like, oh fuck, oh my god. Like a band, like even when we played with the Pilfers, I'm like, I played with the Pilfers 25 years ago.
Yeah, Chris, I took a picture of him
the
and
fact-
Cody, and
the
it
fact
was
that I
like
get to do this,
cheesy
yeah.
boy smile.
The
He
fact
was
that I get
so
to do this
stoked.
again. So
I can't tell if you're like 35 or like 68.
Jesus.
You can't tell now. It's perfect. It's somewhere in between there.
Just
There's
your
so
like
much-
stories. By the way you look, I was assuming mid to late 30s, and now I'm like 70.
He is known as Old Man Thompson. So
I grew up with Biden. We were homies.
Appearances are deceiving. Your stories
like-
make it sound much different.
So the saxophone player for Sergeant Skagnetti, in trying to like not look like a fool for this interview, I was like, well, what do I not know that you might ask me, right? I was like, because I have a good memory, by the way. I was like, but yeah, just fucking check shit. I didn't realize that the saxophone player for Skagnetti actually was part Mike. Yeah,
Yeah,
Mike.
Mike. And
He
he
was-
does all the videos for them. They're
He was
so good.
he was part of
So
the
good.
touring version of Skagnetti for their reunions, and now he's
From
coming.
Spring Hill Jack.
Yeah, for Spring Hill Jack,
Gotcha.
and he's coming here in a week and a half or two.
Yes.
And I'm like, oh, well, we have to have chats now.
Yeah.
And I know we all played shows together and shit, and like obviously like Skagnetti and Spring Hill Jack played shows together for fucking years.
Yeah.
But I didn't know he actually was like considered a member.
Right.
Or
That's
Vinny
cool.
Noble.
Yeah.
For Pilfers and Bim Scala Bam, etc. Like Vinny was a member of Spring Hill Jack for a short time. Just for live shows.
The ska, I feel like that's what I've learned through all of the ska history, as in I haven't retained any of it, but I feel as though a lot of people bounce around in different ska bands.
Oh, I like that you said that because it's a good segue.
We're
We're about to play a game. Hem.
Oh yeah, the game. I'm so excited.
yeah,
Okay.
Robert's
Okay.
stupid games that I hate.
Hem.
We like stupid stuff.
Okay.
You heard our
I
band.
got I got a song.
Okay.
Well, she skanks around the world from Kingston to Orange County. She's a checkered powered Rudy from New York down to Coventry. She'll take you for a ride on a night boat to Cairo. Tell me where in the world is
Skarmen Skandiego.
All right.
Yeah.
That's pretty fucking solid.
I love that.
We need
Thank you.
a band
Thank
to
you.
cover that because we'll just do it.
Yeah.
We'll do it.
It's yours.
You want the Grubers
We'll
to
do it.
Yeah, done.
Yeah, for free,
Don't-
please. Thank
don't-
you.
Don't
Yeah, we'll figure that out.
Well,
Don't
we're
tease
We're gonna
me.
send you one,
We're
and you're
gonna
gonna
send
be
you
like,
one.
"Oh shit, the Grubers did
Fuck
it,"
yeah.
and then you're never gonna play it.
That's like Megawave made a joke recently. Like I posted a wig and they're like, we're gonna make an ad, like post a video of you with in front of a fan and we'll make like an anime AMV out of it. And I was like, RIP to your inbox. It's just gonna be standing in front of a wall with a wind machine. Desperately waiting to be a part of your music video.
Okay, in the interest of fairness for this game, I think Chris is going to have to bow out of it because I think
knows
he's going to
too
know
much.
the answer to everything.
Oh.
So
fuck.
this
Can he
is
be our, like our lifeline, our phone line?
yes,
He's your
she's your
lifeline.
lifeline.
Wait, hold on. Let me see.
How does that
Are
work?
we asking questions about?
Wait, so
Spring Hill
the way
Jack
this
right now?
works, the way this works is this is the epilogue to Spring Heel Jack. So
I
I'm
don't
going to
know
have
if I
a
know
multiple choice. It's multiple choice, so that'll help. It's a bunch of questions about what happens to the band members after they left the band, and it's ABCD. And buzz in with Buzz or Ska or your name or whatever. Joey might keep score. Okay, I got 5 questions. Let's start with the low ball one.
Fuck.
So Pete Wazalewski would get a strange nickname and is now currently in another big ska band. What is his name and which band is he in?
The
Yeah,
Polish-
A. Matt Appleton from Real Big Fish. B. Dave Hilliard from the Slackers. C. Tommy McCook from the Scatolites. Or D. JR from Less Than Jake.
What's his
Yeah,
real name
Less
again?
Than Jake.
D.
Yeah. Yeah,
But-
correct.
Oh,
Are you guys a
we're
team?
supposed to say Ska.
Yeah.
Rosie.
One for Rosie. I'll give it.
Mike Wazowski.
Okay, Ron would continue on after the band's breakup and would form which Nitro-based punk band? Was it A, Rude City Riot, B, Lost City Angels, C, Murder City Devils, or D, Salt Lake City Punk?
C.
Ska.
Oh wait.
Yeah.
D.
Damn it.
B is correct. Tyler Jones would be based in New Haven, but would also join Real Big Fish for their Cheer Up album and is featured on their live DVD. What letter grade does Aaron Barrett give his solos? Is it A, B, C, or D?
Celine.
Go.
Celine. C. So C for C. D
Yes, that's correct.
C.
I'm gonna,
He said-
I'm gonna guess B.
I didn't know
He
I was
said-
competing with you.
Yeah.
He said
Just me.
Yeah.
just
no,
Celine, yeah.
no, hold on. You did not express that she would be
I
part.
absolutely.
Oh,
did.
I don't know. Oh, you don't know how little I know. You should listen to Eddie. I listened to Spring Hill Jack this morning.
Exactly. Same.
Like I barely. Yeah, I don't know anything.
This
Also,
competition
I
seems-
smoke a lot of weed. I don't have any
Well,
memory.
I would say so far Celine is losing, so I
I
wouldn't
mean,
be
your
too
knowledge
concerned.
of Jesus was pretty bad too. So
So Chris Rhodes, trombone superstar, would join Mighty Mighty Bosstones as we discussed. What single did he write for them? Was it A, You Gotta Go, B, You Gotta Not Get the Vaccine, C, The impression that I get is that vaccines can't be trusted. Or is it D? Someday I suppose I will get kicked out of this band.
It's A because it's the only song that doesn't have all the vaccine shit.
Oh, right. Yeah, that would have been before. Asbestos Records would reissue Spring Heel Jack's first 2 records and continue to reissue, as they say, a dead genre on a dead format. What
Just
other
like
bands
Jesus.
did they reissue? Was it A, They Might Be Giants, B, Adam and His Package, C, The Suicide Machines, or D, The Dead Milkmen?
Celine.
Yes.
C.
Eh.
I
It's
just
actually
tried.
E, all of the above.
That
Correct.
was your all of the above one. Is this the last question?
Correct.
Yeah, I was conflicted. I was like, I
So
feel like Dead Milkman.
no, this is what's
What was C
weird.
that you answered?
This is what's weird. Again, I grew up with him.
Yeah, Henry. He always
I am-
wore a Asbestos Records shirt on tour, the yellow
No,
one.
I got made fun of by what do you,
I need
He
whatever's
has
in that
his
I
can.
got made fun of by Jeff Rosenstock and Matt or Dan Pajes for wearing my Asbestos record shirt.
Huh? What'd they say?
They're like,
a,
not Asian man,
Jeff
it's not
Rosenstock
polyvinyl?
show. They literally, I was like, oh hey, like you guys are like my heroes,
They were
and I was
mean.
like, look, and I put it in my shirt, and they're like, did Flood pay you to do that?
That's
Classic.
funny.
So Rosie's the winner.
Rosie.
2 to 1 to 1 to 1.
Rosie. Rosie.
Wow.
Rosie.
Rosie!
Yeah.
So real fast, I need to do a call out to Los Corrados and let you
Only
know.
because,
Let you know that the correct way to refer to Rosie is
PJ
PJ Rosie. PJ Rosie.
What is that?
PJ Rosie.
PJ is
Peachy?
like a bad word. PJ
Oh.
is a bad word, but
Pinche burro.
puro
Burro,
pinche.
burro, pinche.
But like, I don't
Not
know
good.
why. I don't know why they started saying that at a show, and now it's just stuck, and they're so funny. So
It's very interesting because everyone in the States knows like a little bit of Spanish, but like that for us is French.
Yeah, everybody knows.
Oh, yeah. Everyone knows a
Yeah,
little
so we
bit
know
of French.
no Spanish, but I don't know, like just
But Tabernacle.
tabernacle, merde, esti. They're all the French swears are actually religious things. So like tabernacle is like the tabernacle. So it's all
Okay.
like that's why it's like swear words because it's all like religious things that you're just not as like meld, but like esti tabernacle is all like religious things. That's why it's like so bad because you're like fucking
Oh.
tabernacle.
Thanks, Duolingo.
I'm trying to figure out which city in
Yeah, wait, are you guys Edmonton?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. which is
Shitty hockey.
Shitty hockey.
that doesn't help
Yeah,
me.
real shitty hockey. Yeah,
I'm
West.
good at geography. Talking
We're close-
about Carmen.
We're an
Skandiego,
hour-
so-
Our flight from Vancouver. Our
We're-
flight from Vancouver. We're,
straight-
on the west,
We're
Yeah.
straight north of Montana.
straight. Yeah.
Straight north of Montana.
Oh, Montana.
So
Okay.
we need to go out to Edmonton, as you're saying.
Here's
Or
What if-
Calgary.
Yeah, you guys
You're
can
welcome
like
here.
Calgary.
You can
You
come.
guys
Calgary
can
sounds like
borrow all my
Calgary.
gear.
Anyway, sorry.
You can
we-
sleep
we
here.
know
Like
the
a
cross on
joke.
Calvary.
We can jam from apart in our new band, but like
one of the
Yes.
one of the
Well,
singers.
the fact that
Eventually.
you even use the word indigenous, I was like, okay, I like Canadians. Where in Canada are you? I grew up in New Mexico, like basically like landlocked by the reservation. So when people actually use correct terms and they're like,
yeah, we grew up really close.
We grew up right next to.
Well, we're like we
reservation.
grew up in a Métis community, so that's like French Canadian and typically Cree, but like obviously like just different kinds of indigenous peoples. But yeah, that's the Coureur de Bois in the 1700s raped and pillaged their way across the East Coast
I
to the
believe
West Coast.
That's how I described my. When people want to know what
And we
my
came
dad's
here.
genealogy is, I said, I don't know. They landed in Lower Canada and fucked their way west.
Yeah, they
like,
fucked their way west. Yeah. They burned shit down and
You're
fucked
not
their way
wrong.
west.
You're
Yeah.
describing the United
It's the same
States
as America.
in
Yeah, the
general.
states are the
Like,
same.
that's
People
like-
just try to lie about it.
So we got one more segment. Question the answers. Oh, that's a Boss Tones reference. Which Muppet would you have play Hans Gruber in a Muppet Die Hard reboot?
Ooh.
Oh,
Animal.
no.
No.
No, Animal's the cop on the
No.
on the
Too
ground.
easy.
Who's the
This is tough because
who's Hans
Oh,
Gruber?
Hans
Eagle,
Gruber.
the eagle guy.
No.
Oh, yeah, that's
Sam the
amazing.
Eagle.
no. It's because of some bad history. It's a certain-
So you're saying which Muppet, not our band, but which would be in Die Hard
Yeah,
as
which
Hans Gruber?
Muppet would be Hans Gruber in a Muppet
Fuck.
Die Hard reboot?
I want to do that reboot. That's amazing.
I mean, it has to be Sam the Eagle because Sam
Yeah,
the
they
Eagle.
said
That's what I said.
He's
Yeah,
just
you're right.
the pomp
The
chest.
pomp, the
Well,
circumstance.
it's also because Sam the Eagle would constantly be having to remind himself that he's German.
Yeah. Well, also he would have to be straight because Gonzo would be Bruce Willis's part and would constantly be like,
Fozzie.
Yeah,
Fozzie Bear.
would be
The
Fozzie.
finger. Okay, the finger. The friend that lives in Fozzie's
Look,
finger.
look. I don't want to break any fucking things here, but like Miss Peggy would be the best Bruce Willis.
Actually, yeah.
Miss
Miss
Piggy.
Like
Piggy.
you guys are
Solid
missing.
Bruce
Yeah.
You are
Willis.
missing out on
That's the
that.
goal.
Like,
That's a good.
yeah, like
HVAC,
yeah.
Yeah, she does. She's a badass.
Imagine Miss Piggy
Oh,
walking
Kermit!
across the fucking
a machine
shattered
gun.
glass.
Ho, ho, ho.
She's walking across the shattered glasses. Ow! 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 Oh,
Hey,
that'd be
Kermit
good.
the Frog
Piggy's a
here.
Good Bruce Willis. That's
What's a
solid.
Die Hard quote? I actually, okay, I've never seen the movie Die Hard.
What?
I've
No.
never. That's got some
Whoa.
straight. That's got some penis energy that I don't know if I can get behind.
Die Hard?
Yeah, is it like it just seems really straight? It's straight
No,
dude
no.
stuff.
It is,
Is
but it's
it-
fun though.
It's very fun.
Is there a theatricalness
compared
to
to what's that movie where there's only guys and there's no girls in it? What's that movie called?
it? I've never seen
Really?
it.
Glenn Gary, Glenn Ross.
Oh, I don't know. Does
That's-
Die Hard pass the Bechdel test?
No.
It doesn't. I know what you're talking about. It does not.
I'm sure it's
I
fine. I like dumb stuff, but I've never been motivated.
This Christmas, we'll
That's
watch
fair.
it.
I
Okay,
recommend it,
Here's
though.
the thing though.
It's pretty
What other
good.
Christmas movie are you gonna like really watch during that time?
No,
Do you
no.
have a different?
RuPaul's The Bitch Who Stole Christmas that just came
I
out
don't
this
know,
year.
That sounds fucking great.
It's
But
really
that is
bad.
happen,
It's good though.
so-
It's a bunch of like drag queens who live in Tuckahoe.
Oh, yes. Okay.
I'm not
Sounds
even
good.
kidding. That's like
No,
the
that's super
premise.
Of course it is.
Is
Of course.
Tuckahoe.
That's-
And then Scrooged. I like Scrooged.
The
Okay,
Grinch.
he was
Oh,
Scrooge
Jim
was
Carrey's The
Scrooge.
Grinch. That is a gay Christmas movie if I've ever seen one. That's got queer energy.
Hey, can I ask you a real
Jeffrey
gay question?
Tambor alone.
Yeah.
Do you like Frank Sinatra?
No.
What?
I feel like he's got a bad. I feel like he's got. I don't know. I feel like he was like a misogynist. A
Probably.
man of that
Oh,
Rat Pack.
yeah, he was
Rat Pack
terrible.
dudes got to be pieces of shit. I'm assuming.
He
But you know,
definitely
do you know-
liked young girls.
Do you know he is the character from Die Hard?
oh, what?
Bruce Willis is playing. Die Hard is a sequel.
What?
Nobody,
No.
yes.
He's a diehard buff in this.
Yeah. So
Community.
What do you
Die Hard
mean?
is a sequel.
To what?
Nothing lasts forever.
Which is a book.
Really?
Or The Detective. The Detective is the movie with Frank Sinatra. So The Detective is the first book with Frank Sinatra, and Die Hard was supposed to have Frank Sinatra, but Frank Sinatra was like, I'm too fucking old. And they eventually tried to cast 8 other major actors other than Bruce Willis.
Really?
Bruce Willis was like moonlighting. He was Sybil Shepherd loving TV. And back in the 80s, you couldn't do TV and do movies. So if you're doing TV with Sybil Shepherd, you were a bitch. And the studio was like, we don't want to do this. But the writer-director was like, no, Bruce Willis is the guy.
Bruce Willie.
He's the guy that can do Sinatra. Even though, by the way,
That's funny.
Bruce Willis also was an extra in the same movie we're talking about. He was an extra in The Detective. Like the movie his character is based on, he was in as a
Wild.
So it's worth a watch.
I mean, it's
I've
never seen Top.
Well,
culturally important, but
I just like. It's not even that I won't like. I just not that I. Whatever. I like queer and femme representative things, but like
yeah.
Sure.
I
Look, Cheerleader
get
is
into
one of my
it.
favorite movies. Let's go.
before we go on to the next question, I don't like Die Hard. Anyway, what's your favorite?
Oh!
I'm such a troll. Cool Chris asks, what's your
Oh,
favorite sellout lyric and or who has the best mozzarella sticks in Austin?
Sell out.
Yes,
That's mine.
The best
Sell out.
Oh,
We know. Okay, the best mozzarella sticks are 100% pluckers.
pluckers.
They have
Yes,
they're
Yeah.
fucking
They're so
gigantic. They're
big.
really good.
They're like little finger size. They're like between like a penis, like they're between an erect penis and a finger. So like between those two.
My
Oh,
favorite
it's
They're really
size.
big mozzarella
I was
And
gonna
I'm
say,
gonna-
is the finger the big
Famously,
size?
my favorite size.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
me too.
And I'm gonna go out on a limb here right now, and I'm gonna go ahead and say that.
Their wings aren't the best in Austin,
So
but their mozzarella sticks are.
Real Big Fish has gotten a lot of shit over the past few years
Be like,
for being the
Goof,
cliche,
like the goofy ska.
the cliche, like this is why ska's bad. So
We're trying to.
But Sellout's a good song. It's, we're trying to be more
no.
goofy.
I'm gonna say is like Real Big Fish gets an unfair amount of shit because Sell Out is actually it's a whole song about the struggles of being a musician
Like we were talking about before.
and the struggles
Yeah.
of like you.
People throwing you shade.
They throw you shade and you need to
sell
make
out.
money and you need to sell out, and it's the whole song is about doing what you
Layla does not like Sellout.
Yeah. She's like, Real Big Fish is overrated. Get over it.
They are overrated. That's true.
Actually, I don't know if they're in this day and age. I don't even know if they're overrated anymore because they have so much fucking shade thrown from the ska scene.
I'm
I was-
hearing just
okay,
as much
wait.
many people
Before-
defend them as
Before
I
I
do
go,
people
yes,
shit on them.
I'm a Real Big Fish
I'm
defender, and when I will say I saw them at Warped Tour one year, and they did a bit
And-
where they would finish a song and pretend like that was their last song and leave and
That's
come back,
so funny.
and they did it every single song. They did like 10
Oh, that's
songs
fantastic.
So
where they left and came back
funny.
each time.
That's
They're
very
so funny.
So
I
It's
ca-
like
I
it's
can't even-
obnoxious, but because they kept going with
It
it,
kept going
was
around
so
to being funny.
Yeah,
Also-
here's the thing is
They
like,
committed to the bit.
Yeah.
my thing is that like it's like Real Big Fish. It's like I don't know the last time I actually actively listened to them, but like they've gotten so much fucking shade the past few years. which
It's a
is
little
un-
much. It's much.
It's unwarranted
Like,
because they
There's
legitimately.
there's a part of it that's legit, but not as much, maybe.
Yeah,
Well,
we
and-
did Real Big Fish. Who did we do Real Big Fish with?
We did with the third rates.
Yeah, and we like
Oh, okay,
That's
nice.
good.
specifically Sell Out, like honestly for like 3 months I kept saying to myself like every day everywhere I went, like the record company is gonna give me lots of money and everything's gonna be all right. Yeah, like over and over and over everywhere I went it was just like the record company's gonna give me lots of money, just me faking Jamaican all over the place.
I haven't watched all the episodes. Are we doing the most random obscure ska band today?
JFK and the
No?
Conspirators would have
One
probably
of though, it is an
Yeah.
obscure one.
JFK and the Conspirators is a Winnipeg ska dance hall band that
No, I
know them.
referenced
Yeah.
them
Yeah,
from-
I
yeah.
know them.
No.
Yeah.
So
no,
we
no.
almost, well, to be fair, the second choice, if Chris wasn't going to do the episode, was going to be Los Carnales out of Houston, Texas. Who Los
Which,
Carnales?
if you want Los Carnales on, we could probably do Los Carnales.
So Los Carnales,
They're so good.
I'm going to be honest with you. So in the United States, they didn't make a big wave, but Los Carnales was widely popular and a big deal in any of the Spanish-speaking U.S. as well as into Mexico and South.
They're
And
so good.
the thing is, Rosie and I with Los Carranos play with them all the time. Hans Gruber's going to be playing with them on
Couple
April
times.
30th.
Yeah.
And it's really fascinating to play with this band because they're a band that you don't realize how important to American ska or United States ska they were,
All
because
American, all
in the
American.
U.S. we think of English ska, but Spanish ska was gigantic. Well, to be fair,
Well,
Spanish ska is larger than American ska actually
ever
ever
has been.
was.
Yeah.
Like,
There's
I
a lot
was
of those
just-
influences in
Those
Canada.
videos of like LA ska shows, like really
Oh,
recent
we
videos,
played
are
one.
No,
insane.
no,
I love the
Let him
LA
finish, let him
scene.
finish, let him finish.
Holy smokes, it's so wild. I wish there was a scene like that here. It's crazy.
The first time we ever went out there, I hate to break the whole like story of the song, but
No, do it. We'll
So-
bring it here.
All right,
I don't
so
see Mountain.
Exclusive.
Are we okay?
Exclusive.
all right, so we were out at a show, and on our tour, we fully to Compton, right? We're going out and we see the flyer, and it's like, here's all the bands, here's all the info, here's the drugs Here's the fucking money. No outside tanks. And we were like, what the fuck is that? What the fuck is no outside tanks?
But
And
it was
for-
Compton, and there's like
In
a,
Compton.
and there's like a you know, like there was like
So
gang violence back in the day. So like we're like,
for 2
what
weeks,
does that mean?
for 2
Oh,
weeks,
white people, we're so confused.
we're all talking about.
I don't know what no outside tanks
Exactly.
is.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So we're like,
And
what the
I'm
fuck
white
is
as a board.
What is no outside tanks? And so we get to the show. We're there in Compton.
And
And
Esteban.
And Esteban, who
Esteban Flores.
plays
Esteban
in
Flores.
Matamoska.
Matamoska.
Interrupters,
He plays with
like,
We Are the Union sometimes, Catbite.
Catbite, yeah.
Rancid.
He's played with Rancid.
He's a
He
key-
plays with
so
everybody.
legit.
He does those keys.
He's the
plays
guy.
like-
He's the
if
guy
there's a
we know.
keyboard player, it's Esteban.
'Cause he's
So
like
we're just
amazing.
like, we get there and we're like, Esteban, what the fuck is this no outside tanks? Because we all had bets. We're like, it's gang things
I was
or
like,
this.
it's like, yeah, it's like
and Esteban
the
goes,
Easter.
he goes, oh no, we don't want anyone bringing in their own fucking Nas tanks.
Yeah.
Like nitrous.
What?
And we're
No,
like,
I-
we go,
Like
we
for
go,
cars?
Nas tanks. He goes,
Like
yeah,
Fast and the
nitrous.
Furious?
And we're like, what? Yeah, we don't want people having Nas at the show. And he goes, oh no, it's because we're selling Nas.
Like whippets.
The
And
fucking-
so-
Yeah.
they're bringing in tanks. They're bringing in tanks of fucking nitrous to
That's
sell at
hilarious.
the show.
Like
Oh,
they
so-
didn't want any competition.
Correct.
Exactly.
So here we
They're
are.
okay with you
at the
doing
show.
whippets at the show.
I will tell
buy
you.
it from us.
I'm the only
Surprised
guy
you
in the
pick up
band
on
that
that.
plays
Yeah, no, I
most
should know.
drugs.
So,
I'm a
I
pauper's
don't
gal.
wanna do that.
but I will say this though. I will say, and I'm gonna. This is one thing as a band that we said was universally the best idea we've ever had,
No, that's
Uh,
fine.
and it was Chris's idea. So,
That's Chris's idea,
so
yeah.
we booked a show a couple months
Like,
later out
yeah.
in LA. It
In
was
the- like the same-
yeah.
Another backyard show.
Another backyard show, and we were coming back there, and Chris said, "Hey, let's buy 1,000 balloons with our logo on it."
They sell the whippets. They sell
And
them
you
in, like
say,
balloons.
so we drive
That's
out.
fun.
We drive out to LA. And
That's
we have all these
genius.
balloons, and we wind up there, and we go and hand a wad of balloons.
We're like, Rude Ass Rigo, here you go. Here's our balloons.
We had Rude Esprigo
You
who
can
puts
use
on the
them.
stuff. He's like, hey, here's our balloons. Use them for the NOS. And we find out that we were the first band to ever put our fucking logo on the balloons.
Oh,
Like, how has
And-
no one thought of this? This is a
And
great
they're
idea.
like,
That's
"What? This is so
ingenious.
fucking cool. No one's done this." And we're like, "Yeah, it's because we're business people."
Just everyone with their little Mickey Mouse voices in the crowd. Like, oh, we love Hans Gruber, the drummer.
I'm getting high. Woo-hoo.
Woohoo!
I'll
Pick it up.
that's helium.
Yeah. Okay, wait. Does Nas not give you a little voice?
No.
No.
Well,
But it still inflates a balloon.
I love drugs, and I was like, I don't want to do it. I
I
didn't do
love
it.
drugs.
I do. Yeah.
No, me too. Like, I laugh because I was like, I also love drugs.
Thanks for listening to Checkered Past. Hit us up on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and TikTok at Checkered Past Pod, or send us an email at checkeredpastpod@gmail.com to support the pod and get bonus content, including a full-length and unedited video of this episode. Sign up for our Checkerhead Patreon at patreon.com/checkeredpast. We also have merch available at checkeredpast.ca. Checkered Past is edited by Ariane and engineered by Joey, who creates weekly playlists featuring music from today's episode. Hans Gruber and the Diehards, thank you so much. What?
Thank you.
Thank
Now's
you.
your time to plug. What have you got to plug?
Our new album. on
Our
tour.
new album is coming out on May 3rd, and we're going on tour to the Midwest. We can't do too long, but we have 2.5 weeks planned in the Midwest, and we're playing Chicago for the first time and lots of places.
If you want to book us, we like money.
Until next time, I'm Rob,
Celine.
and in the
I'm
immortal
Kurt.
words of Spring Heel Jack USA, there's only one way to skank. It's universal.
What the fuck you doing with